Chapter 4. 3 Windows into Hell. On Monday, Elias sat alone at his desk with a blank sheet of paper and the weight of 2 Fridays on his chest. He had never advertised a meeting before, much less one about something as controversial as hell. He wrote a headline, then scratched it out. Wrote softer words, then scratched those out too. Finally, he printed in block letters, "Hell is real. Healing for nightmares, fear, and near-death experiences. Friday nights, 7 p.m. Testimonies, scripture, prayer. All welcome." He stared at the page. Too blunt, too much, too late. Then he thought of Mark's hollow eyes, of Carlos's shaking hands, of Samuel's bandaged palm. Better offended now than screaming later. He fed the sheet into the ancient church printer and ran off a stack until the machine coughed and hummed and spat out warm pages that smelled of toner and dust. He slid them into his backpack and walked out into Ashford's gray afternoon. At Manny's Market, he taped a flyer near the register. At the laundromat, he pinned one above the change machine, while dryers thumped in the background and a tired woman folded tiny shirts. At the pizza place, he tucked one beside the Friday specials. At the check cashing window, he taped one near the sign about overdraft fees. In the library, he pinned another to the community board between guitar lessons and a lost cat notice. Even at the bar, he left one by the door with a quiet, "Mind if I put this here?" The bartender shrugged, and a woman on a stool stared at the word hell a moment longer than she meant to. By the time he turned back toward the church, his backpack was nearly empty, and his conscience slightly less so. By Friday, the flyers had done their work. The rain arrived first, a cold drizzle that blurred streetlights into halos and streaked the church windows. Elias unlocked the front door, took the narrow stairs down, and flipped on the basement lights. They hummed and blinked their way to steadiness. He began setting chairs in a circle, 10, then 12, then 15, and stopped. Footsteps sounded above. Several sets, not just 1 or 2. Voices, low and hesitant, drifted down the stairwell. He added more chairs, then more. By the time the first people came into view, shaking rain from jackets and brushing droplets from their hair, he knew the flyers had reached further than the church bulletin ever could. Mrs. Hanley came first, one hand on the rail, the other wrapped around her Bible. The first week she had clung to the wall. The second week she had crept in, as if expecting something to jump out at her. Tonight she still shook, but there was a different set to her shoulders, as if she had decided that if hell was going to come knocking, she would not meet it alone. Samuel followed, hood up, eyes scanning the room with the quick, restless vigilance of the young and frightened. But he didn't hide behind his mother this time. He sat beside her instead, close enough to feel her sleeve against his. Then the new faces appeared. A middle-aged man in a work jacket and Sunday boots who kept one hand on his chest as if steadying a heart that wouldn't settle. "I heard tell y'all were running a hell meeting. I said, well, I preach about it, but I ain't never seen one advertised." Pastor Elias smiled and shook his hand. "Glad you could make it." A college-age girl with mascara tracks and a hoodie pulled over stringy hair, avoiding everyone's eyes. A couple in their 40s who sat together but didn't touch, their arms rigid along the sides of their chairs. Near the back, a man Elias hadn't seen before took a seat where the wall met the far corner. Late 40s, maybe. Plain shirt, jeans, posture too controlled to look casual. He held a small notebook on his knee and a pen between his fingers, but he didn't write. He listened, eyes moving from face to face, weighing everything. Elias noticed him the way a shepherd notices a new dog near his flock, not as a threat yet, but as something that needed watching. Elias did a quick count. The chairs weren't enough. He pulled a few more from the stack in the corner and widened the circle. Next time, rows, he thought, but if it kept growing, they'd have to move upstairs into the sanctuary. The thought both thrilled and unnerved him. Elias set a music stand that had seen better years just inside the circle for anyone who needed it, then took his seat, Bible open on his knee. "Thank you for coming," he said. His voice came out steadier than he felt. "Some of you have been here the last 2 Fridays. Some of you are here because you saw a piece of paper taped to a wall, or because someone told you this is where people talk about what they don't dare say out loud anywhere else." A few heads lifted at that. "I'll say this again so we're all clear," Elias went on. "We're not here to entertain each other. We're not here to swap ghost stories. We are here because something is happening in this town that people can't sleep through, and we need to bring it into the light before it eats us alive in the dark. If you choose to speak, we will listen. We won't mock you. We won't turn your fear into gossip." After a quick prayer, he turned to the circle. He laid a hand lightly on the back of the chair beside him. "This is Jermaine." He asked if he could share something the Lord showed him. He doesn't tell it lightly. We're going to give him our attention and ask the Lord for discernment and mercy as we listen. A soft thread of Amen moved around the circle, barely audible. Jermaine, broad shoulders, tired eyes, fingers twisting the neck of a plastic water bottle, cleared his throat. He glanced at Elias once, then at the scuffed floor. When he spoke, his voice had the rough texture of someone more used to praying in a quiet room than speaking into a microphone. "Okay," Jermaine said quietly. "Good evening. My name is Jermaine. I grew up in church. I preached sometimes. I knew how to sound right. If you asked me back then, I would have told you I was fine, saved, good." He took a breath that did not steady him. "But I was pretending," he said, "and the Lord showed me what I was walking toward." "It happened one night when I went to sleep like normal," Jermaine said. "No drugs, no alcohol, just tired, angry, full of things I told myself I would deal with later. I closed my eyes, and when I opened them, I was not in my room. I was on something hard, like stone, and I could not see my hand in front of my face. This was not bedroom dark. This was a darkness that swallowed light, like the place had never agreed to let it exist. The soda machine's hum seemed louder now, like the room had become a microphone. And the fear was not normal fear," Jermaine said. "It was the peak of panic, and it never came down, like my whole being was locked in the second before a crash, and it stayed there. After a while, I saw outlines," he continued, "not because the place got brighter, because something wanted me to see. It was like an ocean made of people, not faces, just shapes packed so tight they became the ground. Nobody comforting anybody, nobody reaching out. Each person trapped inside their own terror. And somehow I knew, the way you know fire burns, that it was forever." Hanley's fingers tightened around her Bible, and Samuel's eyes flicked up, then away, as if he could not afford to picture it. "Then I was moved," Jermaine said, "not walking, just pulled from scene to scene, down through spaces that felt like tunnels, like my spirit was being dragged through rooms I did not choose. I came into a room that looked like a nightclub," he said, and a few heads lifted at the word. Dark, low, sick light, bodies moving like they were dancing. At first, my mind tried to lie to me and make it normal. Then I looked closer, and I understood it was not dancing. Jermaine's grip tightened. "One guy, Young, wearing shades, head bobbing like he was enjoying himself. His body moved like something had strings on his limbs. But his eyes, I could see the terror behind them. He could not stop. He could not cry out. He was trapped inside the motion. And the thought hit me. This is what sin sells you up here. Pleasure, escape, numbness. Down there, it is ownership. The thing you chased becomes the thing that moves you. That place felt more real than this one, he said, quieter now. This world suddenly felt like smoke, like we are the ones sleepwalking, and the real end is closer than we think. I wanted to run, Jermaine said, but you cannot run from a place that is inside your knowing. The fear followed like gravity. And then I was at a gate, Jermaine said, and the room seemed to lean without moving. Tall, heavy, old. I could not tell if it was iron or stone, but I knew it was a gate of hell. Not a symbol, not a picture, the real thing. He stared at the floor for a beat, as if the next part had teeth. The darkness leaking through the cracks felt alive, like something on the other side was breathing, and the gate started to open, just a crack, and something came through. It did not walk, Jermaine said. It moved wrong. Its shape kept shifting, part beast, part man, nothing fully either. But the eyes, I will never forget the eyes. They burned with hatred, like it had waited for me. Jermaine's jaw tightened, and I understood what it was. Not because someone explained it. The place makes you. It was the spirit assigned to my sin, my lust, my anger, my unforgiveness, my secret habits, the little things I excused. It was like everything I would not surrender had become a claim. He swallowed, and his voice cracked once. I knew if it reached me, that was it, he said. No bargaining, no time, no second chances. And that is when I finally called for Jesus, Jermaine said, and the shame in his voice landed like a confession. I did not call calmly or pretty. I called like a man drowning, like a man who suddenly understood he had been playing with a cliff. Jesus, he said, and his voice thinned on the name. Jesus, save me. Jermaine blinked hard. And he came, he said. To my right, not far. I could not see his face clearly, like he had his head bowed, but you do not mistake his presence. You just know. He did not speak out loud, Jermaine said, but his thoughts were clear. He let me feel what my path was earning. Not like he hated me, like he was telling the truth, like a judge who also happened to be the one who already paid the debt. Jermaine wiped his face quickly with the back of his hand. And I felt him grieve over me, he said. That broke me more than the fear, because I understood hell is not only punishment, it is the end of rejecting someone who bled to keep you out. The thing lunged, he said, and before it could touch me, the Lord pulled me. I woke up in my room, saying his name out loud over and over, Jermaine said. My heart was slamming, and the fear did not shut off like a nightmare. It drained slow, like tar. He looked around the circle. For days, whenever I thought of the people I refused to forgive, the gate came back. The crack opening, the eyes, the claim. That is when I understood I had been holding chains and calling them normal. I had been singing about his blood and treating obedience like an extra. He lowered the bottle under his chair like he needed both hands free to finish. That night, I got on my face, he said, and surrendered what I was gripping, my grudges, my hidden sins, my excuses. I asked him to make me real. I am not telling you this to scare you into religion. I am telling you because that place is real, and mercy is real. And the only reason we are still breathing is because God keeps giving warning before the door shuts. Tonight is not the night to pretend. Mrs. Hanley's eyes shone, and her mouth moved as if she was praying without sound. Samuel stared down, jaw clenched, and his shoulders had edged closer to his mother's, like he needed her warmth to prove he was still in a living world. Elias breathed in, then spoke quietly. "Thank you," he said, and he meant it. "We have time for one more," he said. "If someone came tonight carrying a darkness you don't understand, you are welcome to speak." A man cleared his throat, and the sound was small but decisive. He leaned forward in his chair, hands clasped like he was holding himself in place. "My name is Callum," he said. "I want to tell you what happened to me before I became a Christian. I was a seeker for years. Music, bands, searching for meaning, dabbling in meditation and mysticism and whatever I could find. I did not have a religious upbringing. The Bible was just another book to me. I got to a point where I told myself I was at peace with not knowing." He swallowed. "Then, one night, I smoked something I should not have smoked," Callum said. "I thought it was mild. It hit me hard. I started to panic. I felt my heart. I felt myself slipping. Not like I was losing consciousness, more like I was leaving my body. I would dip into a blackness and pull back out, and then I went with it, and I was there. It was not just that I could not see," Callum said. "It was a place, a thick blackness, everywhere, in me, around me, and it had weight. The first thing I understood was this is death, not dying, death, the absolute absence of life. Wherever life is, it is not here, and yet I was still aware, still thinking, still feeling, and that was the terror." His voice tightened and he blinked hard. "Then I became aware of eternity. There was no time. Time was not there. You would not know if 10,000 years passed or a second. There is no sense of time passing. The moment is forever. And because there is no time to pass, it feels like you could be here and never go, because there is no end coming. I also had this awareness that I was on the other side of a wall," he said. "Like life was there and I was here, and I knew my family were there, and I would never reach them. I wanted to tell them, I am here, I am in this place, but they would never know where I was. They would be in life, and I would be somewhere else. And I thought, this is hell." I was panicking, but there was something worse than panic. There was this awful acceptance, because I knew it was forever. "And then understanding came," Callum said. "Not like someone explained it in order, more like the place had an intelligence, and the truth just pressed itself into me. I understood that everything I had ever done, good or bad, had no value there. All my art, all my music, all my achievements, all the hardship I survived, all the times I tried to be better, it meant nothing. It did not qualify me. It did not lift me out. Nothing I built could get me over that wall." He looked down at his hands. Then another conclusion came. This is hell. Therefore, there is a God, because I knew that place was the absence of him. I had all these ideas about God, like God is everything. God is whatever you make it. God is one of many. But in that blackness, I knew the God who made reality is the God in the Bible. I knew it in a way that shocked me, not because someone preached at me. Nobody did. I was not being talked into it. It was just there. "When I came back," Callum said, "I woke up alive, but not the same. I started searching. I started realizing other people had experienced similar things. Not always flames and monsters, sometimes just darkness, eternity, being cut off, knowing you cannot reach anyone. And it left me with one thought I could not shake. I do not ever want to go back there, and I do not want anybody else to go either. Elias opened his mouth to speak, but someone else stood first. Nadine Baptiste spoke up, her voice careful, as if she didn't want a single word to be wasted. "Unto thee will I cry, O Lord my rock," she said, then looked up as if she could still feel the moment pressing on her chest. "Pastor Elias," she said, "I'm Nadine Baptiste, from New Hope Pentecostal in Briar Glen. May I share something?" Elias motioned. "Yes, sister. Please share. Take your time." Wednesday, the 14th of June, 2017. I remember the date because it marked me. I was lying in bed, just resting, fully aware. A strong thought crossed my mind. All humans go to hell by default. The thought hit me with a force I couldn't argue with. By default, we're already headed for judgment because sin is the inheritance of the human heart. People love to talk about Christ being good, and he is, full of grace and truth, beautiful, patient, merciful. But he is also judge, and if a person dies without him, they don't float into peace. They go to a place of damnation. That's the truth, and I felt the weight of it settle on me like a verdict waiting to be read. As I was still lying there, thinking about that word, I began to hear screaming. Nadine continued, her voice tightening as the room grew still. At first, I thought it was my mind, but it wasn't. It was voices, many voices. One man kept saying the same word over and over, like he couldn't stop. Stupid, stupid, stupid. Then another voice, a man again, repeating like a broken record. Why didn't I listen? I should have went. I should have listened. Then I heard a woman praying, "Lord, forgive me. Lord, please forgive me. Give me another chance." And as she pleaded, I could see her crucified and lit on fire while she prayed. And then it happened. God pulled the veil back, and I shifted. Not in a dream, in real time. God allowed me two perspectives, what my spirit was experiencing and what my body was experiencing. I saw my spirit separate, and then I was in it and watching it at the same time, like a living split view of myself. You could feel the questions in their silence. I went through the bed like it wasn't solid, not traveling through fabric and springs into a geographical place, but plunging into another dimension. And in that dimension, all I saw was fire. The fire was vibrant, alive. It looked like it had a mind of its own. It moved like molten lava, but far more intense. And my senses were heightened. Smell, sight, hearing, everything. I had absolutely no control in that dimension. I felt completely powerless, a state of hopelessness, like I had been locked into something eternal. There was no escape. I couldn't crawl my way out. For the first time, I felt like I had no free will. I could feel my natural body wrestling for my spirit to come back, like my flesh was fighting to breathe again, but my spirit was trapped in the terror of that place. When my spirit came back, I was shaken to the core. I could not go back to sleep. I didn't want to see hell. I wanted to see heaven, but God showed me what people refuse to talk about. He continued without skipping a beat. I was in the same cavern I had seen before, a vast place carved like a wound in the earth, lava running down the middle with people burning in it, Nadine said, her eyes fixed somewhere beyond the sanctuary, as if the memory still hung in front of her, unblinking. I was up on one side above the lava, and I saw people on their knees praying while they were on fire, begging God to forgive them, begging to be let out. And as their prayers rose, they hit something I couldn't see, like an invisible ceiling, and then the prayers fell back down again. God made me understand that in hell, your prayers are not heard. You can pray all day long. It makes no difference. Your prayers don't ascend from there. Then I looked up and saw a whirlpool in the dark sky, spinning, black against black, and people were falling out of it, tumbling into the cavern, some dropping straight into the lava. A few brows furrowed. Someone swallowed. Nobody interrupted. I looked farther and saw more whirlpools in the distance and more people falling. And God made it plain to me that those who die without Christ are coming through that dark funnel and plunging straight down into that place. Hell isn't a sentence you serve and then get released. It's eternal torment, eternal separation. There is a great gulf fixed. I moved along the cavern wall and saw the rock face carved into cells, prison bars without doors, small rooms dug into stone, and inside one I saw a man sitting with his hands in his head, repeating in confusion, "Why am I here? How did I get here?" Then I was pulled into a darker corridor where I saw a low, narrow cell and a man lying there as worms appeared, devoured his flesh, disappeared, leaving a skeleton, and then the flesh returned and the worms came again, over and over without mercy. Later, I saw a crater like the surface of the moon, filled with fire, people inside trying to climb out, but a dark force held them down, pushing them back into the flames. And God showed me something strange and terrifying. There was no fruitfulness there, no wombs, no seed, no internal ability for life. Fruitfulness removed, as if every hint of God's blessing had been stripped away and only emptiness remained. And the message in my spirit was simple and terrible. Hell and death will be cast into the lake of fire, and you're shifting from fire to greater fire. Why would anyone settle for hell when Jesus went to prepare a place for us? The memory is still fresh. I still see it as clear as day. I came back transformed. I came back on assignment. If it saves one soul, it was worth it. When Nadine fell quiet, Elias did not reach for a speech. He reached for scripture, steady, familiar, like a handrail in a smoke-filled hallway. "Jesus said," Elias began, and his voice carried without trying to, "Enter ye in at the strait gate, for wide is the gate, and broad is the way, that leadeth to destruction, and many there be which go in thereat. Because strait is the gate, and narrow is the way, which leadeth unto life, and few there be that find it." He paused, then turned a page with care. "And he also said, If ye forgive not men their trespasses, neither will your Father forgive your trespasses." Callum gave a small, crooked half-smile. "Amen. Forgiveness is free, but it is not easy." A soft chuckle moved through the room. Even Elias let out a quiet breath, smiling despite himself. Elias looked around the circle. "Tonight, I am not going to ask who smelled smoke," he said. "I am not going to ask who woke up shaking. I believe you. What I am going to ask is harder." He let the question come slowly, so nobody could dodge it by pretending it was rhetorical. "Who are you still holding on to?" he asked. "Whose name knots your stomach, whose face makes you say, 'I will never forgive them.' Because whatever that is, it is not just a memory, it is a chain. And if we insist on carrying that chain to the grave, hell is happy to meet us on the other side of it." The nurse's eyes squeezed shut, and one tear slipped down like it had been waiting for permission. She did not sob. She did not make it about her. She just pressed her hands together tighter, like she was finally admitting she was tired of carrying what she carried. Across from her, Mrs. Hanley's lips trembled, and her thumb moved over the edge of her Bible like she was tracing a promise she had forgotten was there. Samuel's breath caught, small and sharp, and his hand crept toward his mother's without him deciding to do it. She took it immediately and held on like she would not let him drift. "We are going to pray," Elias said. "Not magic words, not a script, but in agreement with God about what He has already said. If you need to forgive someone, you can whisper their name under your breath. He knows who they are. If you have been playing church and living like hell, now is the time to stop. Not tomorrow, now, while we still have breath." They bowed their heads, and the circle seemed to become smaller, like the room itself gathered closer together. Elias's prayer was plain, not polished, not performed. He asked for mercy, for courage, for truth, for clean hands and soft hearts. He asked God to break chains that people had carried so long they had started calling them personality. Around the circle, some people whispered names barely louder than breath. Others cried quietly. Samuel's lips moved around a name he did not say aloud. When the prayer ended, nobody rushed to leave. They stood slowly, shoulders brushing as they squeezed past one another, trading awkward nods, a hand on a shoulder, a murmur of, "Call me if it gets bad tonight." The nurse lingered, like she wanted to speak to someone, but did not trust her voice yet. Mrs. Hanley paused beside Samuel. "You doing okay, sweetheart?" Samuel didn't answer, but he nodded once. Mrs. Hanley smiled at his mother as she reached the stairs. "Same time next week?" "Yes," Samuel's mother said. "Wouldn't miss it." One by one, they climbed the stairs and vanished into the damp night. Elias folded chairs in the quiet, the clack of metal legs echoing against the basement walls. When he turned, the man with the notebook was still seated in the far corner, pen tucked into the spiral as he flipped through his notes, brow furrowed as if he were trying to make sense of what he'd heard before he stood to leave. "You are welcome to keep coming," Elias said, carefully, not offering friendship, not offering suspicion either, just truth. The man nodded once. "I intend to," he said. He did not offer his last name, not yet. He only closed the notebook with a soft snap and stood. "You are going to run out of room down here," he added, quiet as night. Elias glanced at the circle of chairs, at the extra ones pulled from the stack, at the space that did not exist anymore. "Yeah," he said. "I know." Upstairs, the rain kept tapping at the windows, steady, patient, like a warning that would not stop just because people wanted to sleep.